This is Straight Talk Sales and Marketing with Janet Clark. Double your sales in 12 months or less. Janet has hired, trained, and managed sales teams throughout her corporate and entrepreneurial career, which, coupled with interviews with some of the world's top entrepreneurs, and you have a recipe for your business's success. Listen up. Learn why sales is both an art and a science. Whether you are new to the game or you're a proven veteran, you owe it to yourself to better your sales and marketing. How about you start now? Welcoming entrepreneur and CEO of The Freedom Shift, Janet Clark.
Hello and welcome to Straight Talk Sales and Marketing. I am your host, Janet Clark, and my guest today is a master storyteller, Devorah Spilman. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Devorah in a minute, but I do want to say that if you are an entrepreneur, if you are in sales, then you are in the right place, because we focus here on Straight Talk Sales and Marketing on ways to help you to increase your sales, get new clients, and obviously increase your income, which is what one of the real reasons why we all go to work. Although I think we may find we have some other purpose-driven reasons why we do our work as well. So now let me tell you a little bit about Devorah. And when I say Devorah is a master storyteller, she has been telling stories for 30 years. And she has worked with literally every type of group in teaching, performing, and training. Devorah sees stories in every venue. Currently, her focus is on business training, as this has become a strongly identified need in the corporate, entrepreneurial, and sales communities. And you've heard a lot of stories here on Straight Talk Sales and Marketing. Many people know the power of stories, but they really don't know how to access that power. So today, Devorah is going to share with us some simple and effective techniques to really help you bring your stories, your metaphors, and your images into your sales communication. Devorah will teach us right here, live, how to engage, persuade, and close through the power of story. So I am just delighted to welcome Devorah Spilman. Hi, Devorah.
Hi, Janet. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I didn't mention to our listeners that you and I actually go back a little ways, probably going on to 2 years now, where we've been in the same mastermind group together and gone through some coaching with a master coach. And so we've shared a lot of growth in both of our businesses at the same time. So it's been fun.
Yeah, it's an exciting and inspiring process.
So tell us, jump right in. Tell us about, how you got into working with entrepreneurs in this idea of telling stories.
Well, I guess I'll have to tell you a story. What a surprise, right?
Love it.
So I really have been a storyteller pretty much my whole life. And I spent the first whole section of my career being a storyteller as a performer, performing for all kinds of audiences, young and old. And about 3 years ago, I wanted to move. I was working a lot in an educational institution, both teaching and performing, and I really wanted to get out of the teaching aspect altogether and into full-time storytelling, only I wasn't sure exactly which aspect of storytelling I wanted to focus on. I'm a puppeteer, and I'm a clown, and I have a one-woman show, and I do all kinds of storytelling activities. So it's like, what do I want to do? And so here's how it is, like a real little story. I come out of my yoga class at our JCC, and my friend Kim comes out of the same class and says, "Oh, Devorah, I wish I could tell stories like you." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I am a terrible storyteller." I said, "No, you're not." "Yes, I am." I said, "Kim, if you have an hour right now and you sit down with me, I will show you how you are a good storyteller." okay. So we literally sat down in the lobby of our community center, and I led her through this process, which I'm actually going to do with you today. And she came out the other side and she said, "That's it?" I said, "That's it." That was amazing. Can you do that for this organization? I'm the head of their campaign and da da da. And I said, "Sure." So I did that, and then they said, "Well, could you do this for so?" I said, "Okay." I thought, this is interesting. I thought, wouldn't it be cool to call this story selling? And I made it up myself, but I wasn't the first. So then I began to research the word story selling, and then, business storytelling, and I saw that it is a huge subject, especially in the area of sales. And every book I read on sales talked so much about how important it is to tell stories in sales, to build that know, like, and trust factor. So I thought, well, I'm going to keep doing this. So I kind of kept doing it, and I had such an amazing response that I thought I'm going to make this into my business. And then I thought, I have no idea how to build a business. And that's how we met in the business mastermind, which was really how do you create and build and sustain an actual business, get anybody to know about you. And it has been an extraordinary experience.
Yeah, and I've definitely enjoyed watching your business blossom, and I know that it's a high demand, what you're doing, and I know you're great at it because I've been watching you grow your business, and I'm really excited to have you here. So why don't we jump right in, and maybe if you give me some clue how you go about doing this. We talked a little bit about how you might be able to walk me through an exercise, and while I'm doing it, our listeners could be doing it as well, which is awesome.
All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction first to kind of the whole idea of what I do, just so that you kind of know where we're going. So I call my company is called Spilman Story Selling. It's just my last name, Devorah Spilman. But my trainings are called Story Selling from the Inside Out. And what's important about that is that I really am all about going deep. I recently did a training series called Turning Pro by Going Deep. And in fact, I'm in the middle right now of interviewing and putting up a new online interview series called The Power of Story Summit, and it's all about going deep to find and tell your personal story. So what has happened is I have developed this process where I make people, all kinds of people, close their eyes, breathe, go inside. And it's a process that I gave an acronym to called S.TA.T.E, and we're going to actually do this process. And the reason that I do it is that when you go inside like that, you have access to your subconscious. And it allows you to avoid your resistance, get past your pat response, and get tremendous resource in both stories and images and metaphors. So today, metaphor. And what I discovered as I started to do this was that when a person in sales uses an image or a metaphor, it contains so much information in such a short time with an emotional attachment, a connection, that you really help win your sales. And this happened to a very good friend of mine who said to me, "Devorah, take me through your process." So I took him through it. He loved it. He's very literary, and he was able to get it. He really got it, but he forgot to use it. He said, "I forgot to do it." So I trained him all over again, and about a month later, I get this very excited call from him, and he says, "Devorah, I won a huge multi-million-dollar contract for my company using your technique." And he described how he used a whole image of a clockmaker and making parts, and the whole way he used it, they still to this day in that company use the image of the clockmaker to describe the whole process of what they do. It has nothing to do with clocks. He said, "Then I'm going to make you a website. You have to do this." And so that kind of was also a piece of getting myself up and running. But he was very corporate. It was very metaphor and sales oriented, but it's really expanded into this deeper world of the power of personal story. So we're not going to do that piece today, but I just want to tell you what it is, which is when I do this process, what you focus on and what you ask for can change. So sometimes I will have people go all the way back in their past to remember, maybe we'll have time to go through it twice, we'll see, to remember an early story. And it turns out that these early stories contain often the essence of a person's genius and their talent. And then they become able to use their early stories. In the realm of image and metaphor, it's so powerful when you are selling yourself or your product, because an image or a metaphor contains so much information in a small amount of time, and it's also very insightful. This can be done in a group, and it's very team building, and it can be done one-on-one. So it gives you a little bit of a background just on kind of where we're going. All right, so if you're game, Janet, I'll lead you through this process, and everybody listening will go through it as well.
Well, I am game, so let's get on with it. Sounds like a fun process.
Okay, so here's the trick, though. This is the challenging part. Everybody who's listening, wherever you are going to need to listen to this somewhere where you can sit down and close your eyes. I know this is challenging. I often joke with people, you can roll your eyes first and then close your eyes. And it's a little odd on the video, on the internet, but that's how it works. And so that's what we're going to do. So get yourself comfortable, put everything down, and just go ahead and close your eyes.
Okay, and just to prove to everybody that I'm closing my eyes, I'm putting me on the screen, and then I'm going to click back for Deborah, Devorah, so that I am in my zone, going inside.
Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes, and once you've closed your eyes, begin to notice your breath. Begin to have that sense of being aware of your breath coming in and out. And feel that natural flow of your breath coming in and out. And as you feel the breath coming in and out, allow yourself to become aware of a sense that you're breathing bigger than your physical body. Feel that sense of breathing bigger than your physical self, expanding your energetic being. You can even allow yourself to feel that sense that the people closest to you are also breathing. Feel that awareness of their breath coming in and out. And even more, you can expand and feel a sense that the people that you serve and the people that you work with, that they're breathing in and out. That connection that the world is breathing. And then go ahead and bring your attention and your awareness back to yourself and feel your breath coming in and out. Now, at the same time as you're aware of breathing bigger than your physical being, allow your attention to go upwards and feel the sense of a flow from above, that sense of that flow from God, the universe, that source. And feel a sense of light and love, healing, blessing flowing down to the top of your head, flowing down through your whole body, down into the earth and grounding you so that you are connected and in that flow. This is the first step of the process I call STATE. It's an acronym for these 5 steps we're going to go through. The first step, the S, is stop and breathe. And just be aware of that stillness and that connection from above, that expanded breath. And the next step is the T, which is think about it. And allow yourself very gently in an easy flow to think about what you do in the world. What is your work in the world? What do you do? What do you sell? What do you do? Who do you serve? What problems do you solve? What benefit do you bring? Think about who you are and what you do in the world. Just allow that to come into your mind easily and clearly. Now, keeping your awareness on who you are and what you do in the world. And you can do this thinking part on anything. You can think very specifically about a specific sale that you need to make, a specific product, and as we are now, as broadly as your deep work in the world. Now, the next two steps go together. You set your intention in the thinking section so you know what it is you are actually focusing on. And the second two steps, the A and the T, are ask and trust. So now in your mind, just ask for an image or a metaphor. And you say, what is an image or a metaphor for what I do in the world, for my work in the world? And then trust the first thing that pops into your mind. And this is one of the challenges with getting information from the subconscious. So Janet, you're just going to say with an okay, since I'm actually working with you, when an image, just tell me with an okay that you have an image, yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So now, sometimes what happens is that I will get somebody who will say, I didn't get anything. So keep in mind the first image or metaphor that you got. And before we go on to the next question, just take a moment. The last step is explain or interpret. So just yourself in your mind, think about how is this image like what I do in the world? You can reverse it too. How is what I do in the world like this image? And what will help you is if you describe in your mind as many details of the image or metaphor as you can. And we'll do this together with Janet when we're done. And you make that association. All right, and just for fun, we'll do the second exercise, which sometimes I do by itself. And this is what shoe are you? Here's the question. If you had to pick one shoe that represents you, who you are, and what you do in the world, what shoe are you? And be as detailed as you can, everything about it, what color, how it looks, how it makes you feel, what it's useful for, all the details of this shoe, and then how are you and what you do in the world, your work, your business, how is that like this shoe? Make those connections in your mind. That's the last step, the explain or interpret. Okay, so that's it. So now just go ahead and bring yourself, take a deep breath, wiggle your fingers, open your eyes, and now I suggest before you go on to anything else, just write down your image and your image or metaphor and what shoe you are. Just make a note to yourself about what you got and any ideas, interpretations that came to you. And Janet, I'm going to go through what Janet got, and that'll kind of model for you how to go through the process of making these things useful, because sometimes they're like wacky and people can't figure out how to use them. And if that happens to you, by the way, you go, I got this shoe, I got this image, and I don't know what to do with it, then you'll just go to my website, Spilman Story Selling, fill out the contact form, set up a free introductory session, and I'll help you. Now, Janet.
I think maybe there will be a few people who need help, but this will be fun.
Okay, so they'll get help just by how I help you, but they can also they can contact me. So, okay, first thing I want you to do is just tell me what you thought about in terms of what you do in the world. Just tell us a little bit about what you do in the world.
So I really help people with their business so that they can get themselves to the point where they're making money. You know, so I mean, my business is called the Freedom Shift, and that's kind of what I'm trying to help people do, to put that business
to what?
To put a business structure around what they do, which may be, you know, some kind of coaching or teaching or healing, and to be able to create that into a business where they're attracting clients and being able to create revenue streams from that.
Right. So you're helping someone take their vision, their idea, their passion, and actually have a structured business.
Right.
That gets their message out and actually helps them earn an income and really make it a real business.
Yes.
Okay. So what was your image or your metaphor?
Okay. Well, it was actually a dove.
Say that again.
A dove, a bird.
Okay.
Like a dove, you know, like a peace dove.
Okay, so describe it now. Here's one of the tricks in making a metaphor useful. The first thing you do before you try to interpret it is you just describe it. So just describe the dove in detail. What does it look like, and what can it do? So describe it.
So what I saw, it was just flying in the air, kind of circling, and it was white. And it was just gracefully flying around.
What do you like about this dove image?
Oh, I like that it's free. It can fly. I like that it's simple. And I guess because I think of it as being peaceful, I like that.
Okay. Do you see? What I did was and I'm going to take you to the next step. I just want to show you what I just did. I made you see more in the image.
Yeah.
And you pull out more of why it's a resonant image for you. And I felt that it was an emotional connection to it, not just a visual connection. And so that's why I asked you, what do you like about it? So now you have a little bit more resonance with the dove image. And now I can ask you, and it'll be easier for you, how is what you do in the world like this dove image?
Well, that is how I view entrepreneurship, as being a way to get freedom, so that you can go, go where you want to go, when you want to go, and just be peace, not stressed out.
You see how perfectly that is, and how beautifully that image matches your vision?
It does, yeah.
And what's so powerful about it is that is not what most people feel or think they can ever achieve.
Yeah, and it's not really what happens a lot of times to entrepreneurs.
Right.
So, there is
right.
that.
And so that idea of having an image of freedom and peacefulness and gracefulness and ease, that is such a powerful emotional state. And so if you can get somebody to really understand that when they work with you, that is what it will feel like to be an entrepreneur, as opposed to many alternate images for how they might feel.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, that's like the unique selling proposition right there.
Right. I just want you to see how this image, even if you never even said dove to a person, but it deepens your ability to emotionally feel how passionate you are about making a difference for people.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and a dove is a very archetypal image, right? You know, it has this image of peace and the dove with the olive branch, and it's gentle and it's so beautiful. It really doesn't seem like a business could ever feel like that.
And it is funny too, in a way, because you know my personality is strong, and I'm not exactly the type of person that you might associate that way, but it's funny, but that's my value system, you know. So my personality, and I'm not to say that my personality and my value system are at odds, but it's just that it's not always as evident because I do have a lot of background and I do have a lot of expertise, and I tend to be kind of vocal about that, which is, I guess, why I'm on a podcast.
But you know what? That's a very important point that you're making, because you come across no nonsense, really get down to the big, get it done, really businesslike, and you're going to make, because you're taking this person who they think they are the dove, right? Your client's like, I'm a dove and I'm peaceful and I want, and you're saying, okay, here's what you need to do to get it done. But what I think is underneath that's so powerful with this is that doing this business work will actually allow the business owner to feel like a dove.
Yeah.
Internalize those feelings of being free, being graceful, being gentle, being at ease, being natural, and flying, covering a lot more territory. So it allows you to articulate something very deep that is, I think, really part of your passion and why you're committed to doing what you do.
Well, who would have thought?
Exactly. So, what shoe are you?
Well, this gets pretty interesting because the only shoe I could come up with is flip-flops.
Okay. So why are you, describe a flip-flop. What does a flip-flop look like and what does it do?
Well, it's open, and it's simple, and it's comfortable, and it's versatile. I mean, you can wear them just about almost anywhere, other than to, you know, some hoity-toity corporate place. But maybe that's part of it. You know, it's my idea of not having to get all dressed up if I don't want to. I guess I am a flip-flop kind of person. Not in the flip-flop sense of not knowing where I'm going, but in that comfort, you know, like casual in a way.
Right. I think that what's great about this is that it's just like the dove brings out a not obvious side of who you are, so does the flip-flop.
Yeah.
Like that comfortable, you can be at home with me, you know, casual side. These two images are coming to remind you to purposely and consciously articulate these aspects of yourself. Because you have such a strong business background and because you're so competent and professional and efficient and really amazing at what you do, in order to build that relatability and that know, like, and trust and that warm feeling, these images are a great way to warm up your relationship with somebody, depending on who they are, what's happening, you know. And it can be as simple as having a conversation about, I love wearing flip-flops. Seriously, I live in Florida. I love wearing flip-flops. I have all kinds. You probably have all kinds of flip-flops too. Right?
Yeah, I actually have the dress-up kinds as well as the.
For sure that it wasn't just one kind of flip-flop. That when Janet talked about having being her shoe being flip-flops, like flip-flops can be fancy flip-flops can be casual, can be relaxed. So this power of this kind of casual, just slip into it, and that's also kind of a core of what you're saying to your clients, is that I'm going to make what seems really tight and hard and restrictive, like many shoes, I'm going to make it seem like a flip-flop. I'm going to make it seem like you can just slip it on, slip it off, wherever you need to go. If you need a fancy flip-flop, we can do that. If you need a casual one, we can do that. You have an underlying thing in both images. One of the things that came out was that it's simple. That was with the dove you described as being something very simple, and with the flip-flop. So that's like a core message, that there's something about getting to making it so that it's very simple for the entrepreneur. Because they come to you going, "What? I'm overwhelmed. This is so complicated. I have no idea what I'm doing." I remember I used to call myself the clueless wonder in the beginning of doing a business, because I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I still feel like that sometimes. And what I think is really powerful about what you are offering an entrepreneur is that you are going to create the possibility for them to be successful in business and have it feel like a dove and a flip-flop.
Yeah, it's amazing that you did that, so quickly and easily, and not just, taking the, the image, but to be able to get to that emotional piece of it. And now I'm wishing that all these people that are out there doing this would contact us and tell us what they got, so we can all find out like how they're going to take what they got and turn that into their deep message, that if they can convey that to their clients, they are going to be able to dramatically increase their sales. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And so what people can do, like I said, they can contact me first of all, for sure. And they just go to my website, Spilman Story Selling. It's easy to find me. And the other thing we can do sometime, and I've done this many times, is done like not necessarily with video, but like a teleseminar where people can call in and they can share. Like, I call on them and they actually say what they do, and I do exactly with the call. People call in, I do what I do with you. And it's fascinating. And what you see is where people go. Like, each of us has a very unique gift, and part of my gift is showing you yours.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's my gift. I'm very intuitive, and I really see those connections and how you can use them. And I do this with people's early stories. I have a marketing person, her story was she was a paper girl, or someone who has a series on failing your way to success, and he told the story of how he fell off the stage and kept going, and on and on and on and on. Everybody's childhood stories end up being really like core metaphors for who they are and what they do in the world. It's super cool. And so that's why what I do when people work with me, we build on that, right? And so people can have a free just check in with me session, but they can also have just a one-time deep dive session with me, which is to just really go, like, when they call in for a free session, it's half an hour, but they can, before they even are ready to go into a whole year, which is an extraordinary experience, people can also book a one-time, kind of like mini VIP day to really get started doing this. Because it does have a big effect. And the other thing people can do right now is we'll put the link when this goes up, but I'm going to be launching a free telesummit called The Power of Story. And I've interviewed all kinds of extraordinary experts, and they will demonstrate why you need to do this. They show you, it won't teach you how, like we just did, but it will inspire you as to why you need to do it.
Well, I think, there's so many people now, and the people who really are making seven figures out there and doing really extraordinarily well as entrepreneurs are the people who they're the ones that are talking about how important it is to have your story, to understand your story. And, it's not as easy as just sitting down and writing out what you think your story is, because so many of us have our you know, we have our story, right? And I'm sticking to it. But we're like blinded sometimes by the emotion that we're not feeling for some reason, or something we're missing that other people might see. Or, as you say, getting that connection with divine inspiration. And you know, anybody who listens to me knows I'm on a spiritual path, and I'm very into this connection with the essential self and the soul and the bigger purpose, and how to connect in with that. So you know, sometimes you do need help to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's so amazing to me as I'm sitting here listening, going, every person on my whole summit, I didn't even know these people. My assistant found me all my speakers, and they all are saying what you're saying. I'm like, here she's saying the same thing. They're guided by spirit. They have this deep connection. It's a soul thing, and like that's all about me, my whole inside out, and all of my spiritual. It's really so exciting, and we're all like being attracted to each other because it's so much of our passion is to do our businesses from this place of guidance, of spirit, of deep values, and it's very, very nourishing.
Yeah.
You know, what I have found in my clients is that they come to me feeling like, well, this is my business, and this is the other stuff I do. And for all of them, what happens is this extraordinary integration of their passion and their business in a way that they hadn't seen before. So it's been pretty extraordinary for me to see what happens when people really do go deep and bring that out. And what you need help with when you do that is how to make it work in the business world. You know, a lot of people will say two problems to me. They'll say either, no one wants to hear my sob story, which is true. Or they'll say, I don't have a sob story, which is not true. So what I mean by that is that people either feel like my story is too shameful, too embarrassing, and too painful, I can't tell it, no one wants to hear it. Or, on the other hand, they'll say, I never almost died or was abused or, you know, had a near-death experience, so I don't have any story worth telling. That's also not true. And so the key is to do this inner work and find your story little by little. For the people with really, really, really painful stories, it depends where you are in relationship to the story. If it is something that you have overcome and you have gained true wisdom and insight for it, you can and should tell it. Because it will not make people think less of you, it will make people feel connected to you. But if you are still in it, you can't tell it. It's not 100% true, because if you're in it and you're sharing it, like when my father passed away, it wasn't devastating. I knew that he was dying, and he was on dialysis. We had borrowed time together. It was very sweet. And I shared it, but I shared it with purpose. I shared how he was in business too, what happened, how much I valued it. I shared it, and I said, look how I'm sharing this. I'm showing you how to bring your personal life into your communications to your audience. You have to be intentional. You have to know why you're telling your story. What is your message? And you really, in a sense, you're hanging your message on your story. And it makes it much easier to talk and communicate when you have a story. They're easy to remember. But you have to know why. What is the message in your story? So if you're using an image or a metaphor, you have to go through this process of interpreting it so you know what its message is. Right? So there is a process, and it's really a process of discovery, because the clients that I work with over a year, they find certain stories in the beginning, and then a whole bunch more come out later. And then a whole other thing happens, which is, oh, this all goes together. And that really is quite extraordinary. But you can't know it before you know it. Like, you have to get there by going in and allowing it to come out. So it's kind of a journey and a process. And it allows you to do what you talk about doing, which is to be able to share your spiritual side in your business, or your love of sports in your business, whatever it is, to bring your whole self forward in your business, but with a purpose.
Yeah, well, I guess really for those of us that are looking for improvement in our sales and our marketing, it really is the first step, is to take a step back and really find out why you're doing what you're doing and what is the story behind what you're doing. And then how do you articulate that in a way that brings people closer to you so they trust you? Because we talk so much in sales about how people have to know, like, and trust you. And that comes from deep sharing of who you really are, and not just the sort of the surface of, I can go out there and say, well, I have all this experience in the corporate world, and I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years, and I know all this stuff, but that doesn't make people trust me, right, or want to work with me. But when I can share stories about my life experiences and what moves me and what drives me and how I struggle along on the spiritual path, then people start to really get to know me.
Right, right. And it's very true. I mean, and I demonstrate all the time. In fact, I just want to say one funny thing, because as people are looking at the banner and looking at me, there's this disconnect. Like, at that, they don't look like this. You go to my blog, you can watch a video called My Hair, My Hat, My Wig. Yes, I admit it freely, the picture on my banner is a wig. Okay, I told the truth. Sometimes I wear a hat. In my Jewish tradition, and you can hear about this longer on my video called My Hair, My Hat, My Wig, and also a deep teaching about how to use stories successfully on that video as well. But I talk about my whole process about why I wore the wig, why I wear a hat, how that connects to my Jewish practice, why I decided not to do it, and so that's why I look so different. So go to my website if you're curious and you want a little bit of a lesson on how to really incorporate your story into your message. On my blog are quite a few videos that I have made that will give people kind of some jumping off ideas about how to bring their personal, immediate stories into their business. But this is another really important point that I just want to make sure we fit in, that if you are an entrepreneur who has to write newsletters to an email list, then you need stories all the time about your personal life. And so one of the things I talk about is looking for the extraordinary in the ordinary. This process of learning how to pull a metaphor out of something is really helpful in newsletter writing, in building that relationship, that know, like, and trust factor. Because if you share what happened in your day and then you bring a message out of it, that share connects what's really going on with your life, but also gives the message that your audience needs. So the other thing on my site you can get is a free video series about the 3 different kinds of stories you can use. I think I do everyday stories, turning point stories, and personal stories, like that old story. And in each one I lead you through this process. So if you want to do it more, you can get a free video series on my website that will be, each video I lead you through this process, because it works. It really, you saw, and it's worth it. It's worth the trouble to go inside and do it this way, because the content you'll get will be much more effective, more pure, more sincere and true. And you can't really get it by trying harder. That's the thing. Like, people come to me and say, I don't know how to tell my story. When they do this process, they become able to tell their story.
Yeah. Well, Devorah, I love this. I think it's, sort of revolutionary in a lot of ways that, we're at a stage in our evolution as human beings and business owners and entrepreneurs and whatever, that, we can become authentic. And having grown up in the corporate world for many, many years, and, having to play that game, so to speak. I guess that's part of my story, right? Why I feel that entrepreneurship is that flight to freedom. And it wasn't that I didn't love the corporate world. When I was there were things about it that I did love, you know, so it's not trashing it or anything, but it's that feeling that it was then, and then I needed now to get that freedom, and that was what I found as an entrepreneur. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming and talking with us today. And I'd like you to, again, tell us how, well, I guess you...
Called The Power of Story Summit.
Oh, perfect. The Power of Story Summit.com. Okay.
Yep, called that. And really, the first thing people should do, though, is just go to my website, Spilman Story Selling, and do something on my site. Get the video, or contact me, or go to the blog. But really, if this interests you and you bother to listen to this whole podcast, then make sure you take a step, whatever step you can, to be able to use your story. You know it makes a difference. You know it works. And we're here to help you if you need help, but just start.
And for those of you who are not watching us on video and are listening to us on audio only, Spilman is S-P as in Paul, I-L as in Larry, one L only, M-A-N. With one L, storyselling.com. Beautiful. And it will also be, for those of you who want to check out the S.TA.T.E that is the podcast website where you can get access to this video, audio, and also you'll have the information will be there regarding Devorah's website and how to reach her. So I thank you all for joining us today. This was an excellent interview, and I really did not even pay Devorah to come in here and tell everybody what benefits they're going to get from working with me as entrepreneurs, but I really appreciate it. And I had no idea this was live. We just did this on the fly, so what came out of it felt really great to me. Yeah, and it's all true, so it's a beautiful thing. So thank you so much, Devorah, and I will see you all back here next week for Straight Talk Sales and Marketing. Bye for now.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You just listened to Straight Talk Sales and Marketing with Janet Clark. Thanks for tuning in. While the show may be over, there are still plenty of opportunities for you to better your business acumen. Visit thefreedomshift.com for a free consultation and entrepreneurial insight by Janet. And be sure to follow Janet on Twitter at @thefreedomshift. Also, visit the show notes page at www.straighttalksalesandmarketing.com to receive a free copy of Janet's Sell from the Heart ebook. We'll see you next time on Straight Talk Sales and Marketing.